What's going on, everybody? My name's James, and today is Friday, which means that we have another Edge Finder video for y'all. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the top buy and top sell in the Edge Finder today. So let's go ahead and get right into that. We're going to start, like usual, by taking a look at the market heat map. And if you're unfamiliar with the Edge Finder, the market heat map shows us the biggest movers of the day. So we're going to take a look at the Scorechart Summary in just a second, and I actually just did a tutorial video on the Scorechart Summary that goes more in depth about everything that the Scorechart Summary does and helps you with your trades. But we are looking at the market heat map right now, and you see that we have blue and red squares here. Blue means buy and red means sell. The darker the blue, the stronger the buy, and the darker the red, the stronger the sell. Now, we're quickly going to take a look at the top 6 buys and the top 6 sells. So up here, the biggest movers of the day are Euro NZD, Euro AUD, Euro CAD, Euro GBP, GBP NZD, and USD CAD. The top 6 sells of the day, however, are NZD CHF, NZD USD, Gold, the US 30, the SPX 500, and the German 30. And again, I keep saying these are the biggest movers of the day because so far today, these have shifted the most from one side or the other. The Scorechart Summary, on the other hand, shows you what the software predicts will continue moving in one certain direction. So for example, USOIL up here is our strongest buy right now with a score of 6. And based on all of these metrics that we score here, the Edge Finder predicts that USOIL will continue to be a strong buy for the foreseeable future. For the near future, at least. As we all know, the markets shift a lot. The markets are very volatile with every little thing that happens, so they can sometimes be unpredictable. But for now, for the foreseeable future, we see USOIL being a strong buy. Similarly, we can look down here and look at our strong sells. We have lots of strong sells, 2 tied with a score of -8, and that is GBP USD and GBP CAD. And so same thing goes for those. The Edge Finder predicts based off of these metrics that we score up here that these will continue in a downward trend for the near foreseeable future. So normally we start with our top buy, but we're going to switch it up just a little bit. Let's do our top sell. Both GBP USD and GBP CAD have strong sell scores of 8. So I'm just going to pick one of the two, and I'm thinking GBP CAD for today. So we click on that, and it's going to bring us to the GBP CAD page where we can get more in-depth information on this currency pair. So here we are in the page. As we said already, we have a score of -8. And right under that, we see COT data with a score of -2. COT data, or institutional trader data, is set up for us right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at these numbers. We have the pound at 36.35% long and 63.65% short. So institutional traders are favoring selling the pound, while the Canadian dollar sits at 67.49% and 32.51% short. So they are favoring buying the Canadian dollar. Right next to that, retail sentiment sits at -1. Wow, we have 91% long here and only 9% short from the retail traders. That means the everyday, day-to-day traders are very heavy on the long side when it comes to this pair. Seasonality, -1. We are in the month of August, and so we can hover over this right here and see our all-time average sits at 0, while the last 5-year average sits at -0.01, and the current year average is -0.02. Historically speaking, though, moving into the later months of the year, we see an upward trend in the all-time average and the last 5-year average. The trend reading is -2, and that just means that this pair is moving down respectively. Next, GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rates, we have scores of -1, -1, 1, and -1. So over here, we can look at our fundamentals. Pound GDP growth sits at -0.1%, while the Canadian dollar sits at 0.8%. Inflation for the pound, 10.1% compared to 7.6% for the Canadian dollar. Unemployment for the pound, 3.8% and 4.9% for the Canadian dollar. And lastly, interest rate, pound 1.75% and Canadian dollar 2.5%. But that's not all we're going to take a look at. We have our daily price chart here along with our price forecast. So we can see today is August 26th. So there are our numbers for today. But here we see we have three lines here, a green, orange, and red line. And these are price forecast predictions. This is what the software predicts could be similar looking numbers if this currency pair starts to trend upwards. We're looking at this green line here. These are the better numbers if the pair starts doing well. If the pair continues doing what it has been, we have this orange line here. And if it takes an even sharper downward trend, we have this red line here to predict that. So today is August 26th. So let's take a look at the 27th. Those are some numbers for there. The 28th as well. And lastly, let's look at the 29th. And again, these are rough estimates. These are predictions, upward, downward, and neutral trend for what price could look like on this pair. Last thing I'll show you very quickly is our scanner output summary, which is a written summary of all of the information you see here. So if you're more of a visual and kind of written learner, if that's how you learn best and retain information best, by writing or reading and writing it and kind of reciting it that way, this will be very helpful for you, because in here this breaks down everything that we're looking at up here. All of these numbers and data and information, if you're a little bit confused on, this will help you make sense of it. So feel free to pause the video and read that if that's something you're interested in. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our top buy of the day, which I believe was oil. So we could go back to the Scorechart Summary, but we also have these little panels here on the side. And so oil is a commodity, so we have it listed right here next to gold. So if I just click on oil, I can get immediately switched over to oil's page, our strongest buy of the day, with a score of 6. And we'll just continue right along with oil. Our COT data has a score of 1. So let's look at those numbers here. We see US oil sits at 72.45% long and 27.55% short. And we also have the US dollar listed here, 79.84% long and 20.16% short. Retail sentiment is neutral, has a score of 0, but we can see that most retail traders are favoring the long side on oil, 66% long and 33% short. Next, seasonality. Our current year average is way low down here in the month of August. Our all-time average sits at -2.64. The last 5-year average, 2.06, -2.06, and the current year average is way down there at -9.77. But historically speaking, moving into the month of September, we see a slight upward trend. We can see the all-time average there sits at -0.33, and the last 5-year average is actually positive at 1.04. So that's something to keep an eye out there. Gold on an upward trend moving into September. I'm sorry, not gold, oil. Oil on an upward trend moving into September. Next, trend reading, score of 2. That again just means that this market is moving upwards respectively. And then we have ones across the board here for GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rates, which we can look at here. You can see here for oil, we really just have the US dollar listed here because we are looking at oil. But we can see that GDP growth for the dollar is -0.6%, unemployment 3.5%, inflation 8.5%, and interest rates 2.5%. Daily price chart. Here are the numbers for today, August 26th. And again, the same lines that I just explained when we were taking a look at the other currency pair, these same lines apply. So we have our green, orange, and red line. And I'll let you take a look at the numbers for August 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. And again, these are just predictions of what it could look like. Do not take this as concrete that if we are continuing in an upward trend that we're definitely going to get these numbers here. That is not the case, but it could be somewhere similar. And of course, we have our scanner output summary. Again, if you'd like to read that to get a more in-depth explanation on anything listed up here. And something that I didn't mention when looking at the other currency pair is the upcoming news. We have our upcoming news events here because, as we know, as retail traders, news affects everything in the markets. Whether you're buying or selling, news is going to have some sort of effect on it. So we can actually see different news events, the dates, how long until the event, the country that it's happening in, and the currency that it's affecting, the actual name of the event, and the expected impact that it will have on the pair. All right, so that was a look at our top buy and top sell in the Edge Finder. I'll go back to the Scorechart Summary so that you can take a look at this one more time. Feel free to pause the video and take a look at all of these different pairs and all the scores that we have listed, if that's something that you would be interested in. We took a look at oil, and we took a look at GBP CAD. And there we go. So that was a look into our top buy and top sell this week in the Edge Finder. I hope y'all enjoyed the video and that you have a great week. We will see you next time.